And look, I must admit that the prominence of spirituality is something that I suppose I see echoed with my generation, mainly on social media and things like that. And you see, for example, a lot of Instagram influencers and people like this, they're very much into the notion of self-care and things like that. And quite often their self-care practices will include a spiritual practice of some sort, whether it be meditation or yoga or things like that. So I wonder if you could just speak to the connection between those practices and spirituality.
Well, I suppose that there have been many cultures that have been around for so many thousands of years that have distilled various types of human wisdom, if you like. And many cultures will have also had their traditional shamans or healers, and so they would have come across this notion that meditation or certain practices that relate to breathing practices or reflective kind of practices or ways that reduce your thoughts can be relevant, and also how certain practices can seem to tap into a non-ordinary state of mind. So psychology might be only just starting to look at this a little bit more again after William James did 100 years ago. But there are traditions that have been around for a long time that also tended to say things about life and reality, which is like what the quantum physicists said about all things coming back to consciousness, about space and time being an illusion. So look, to some extent, I think that there's a whole lot of received wisdom that exist in a whole range of religious and spiritual traditions. And to some extent, people are going to draw from that, including the practices that they might have used, like meditation and yoga and other things. So I suppose this is partly about things that have been tried and true and passed down in different ways. And popular media and popular culture will draw on some of that. And it is worth acknowledging that when people are engaging in yoga, meditation and things like that, it partly comes back to these ancient spiritual type practices which people partly used in the past to help to tap into a transcendent dimension. In our culture, dare I say a bit more materialistic Western culture, people might have stripped away some of that transcendent aspect and they might use these practices, but they might talk about it in terms of stress management or for relaxation or something like that. But I think, as you're saying as well, there's a little bit more of the transcendent language coming in, isn't there, also with many of the influences, I suspect?